What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's
Just
up,
like
y'all?
Martin Lawrence, we are back with another fantastic episode of the Roundtable with your host, Katrina J.
Reverend Trav.
And we have
episode 8 on deck.
yes,
Episode
yes,
8.
yes, second of the new year, and we are excited.
Season 1.
And season one,
Season 1.
yes.
Episode 8.
Season 1, episode 8. We are in a groove. There's so much happening across the country right now, which is fantastic. It gives us a lot to talk about. And even if we didn't have anything happening in the country, we would still have stuff to talk about because we're just three dope people. But I know we wanted to start with, the focus of today's show will be, of course, election 2020 and everything that's happening around that. But Reverend Trav had something to share from our dear President Obama.
Yeah.
With regards to the coronas.
The coronas.
The coronavirus.
The coronavirus
The
without the
coronavirus outbreak that has plagued countries and now is starting to sprinkle itself into the
America.
United States.
Yeah.
I heard it was on a bottle or something. A Lysol bottle? No?
Yeah.
A Lysol bottle.
Well,
What?
the cure, it helps.
Oh, yeah. On the bottle of the Lysol, it actually says coronavirus, and it's been there for years.
Right, for years.
But
since
no one,
Lysol was invented and no one looked at it because
Right.
no one was talking about coronavirus.
Right.
So go ahead and share, and then I have
So,
two things to say about that. Now that you pointed that out.
Our illustrious president,
Amen.
by the name of Barack Hussein Obama, tweeted the other day, I think it was just last night, and he said, protect yourself and your community from coronavirus with common sense precautions. Wash your hands, stay home when sick, and listen to the CDC, government, and local health authorities. Save the masks for healthcare workers. Let's stay calm, listen to the experts, and follow the science. That was so presidential. We have not had a president
Right.
since Obama. And even being out of office on the beach, he tells us to stay calm.
Right.
Like, he reassures us that everything is going to be okay.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that I miss about, and that's some of you can hear my voice is a little,
You're very Maya.
it's not Corona.
not Corona?
It is not Maya Angelou. This is Maya Angelou. Okay. So, still I rise.
You may write me down in history.
And it
Yes.
is Women's History Month, so we are
I
definitely
think-
supporting.
Let's take a caveat moment here. I think every week that we record this month, you should start with a new voice. Amen. You agree? Ashley agrees. So you got to pick another one. But go ahead.
So, with this just even being said, we just want to send this out to everyone. Just wash your hands continuously. I mean, just
Y'all
do what
should
you
be
gotta
washing
do.
your hands in the
Period.
first place, but-
Right. And I think that's also helpful too, because when you wash your hands, it prevents you from getting the flu.
That's right.
And different just common colds. And so,
Just clean.
yeah. Have you
Right.
ever seen
like,
someone?
Not even why we got to get.
You know
something.
how you
Just
can tell
wash
when
your
someone
hands.
don't wash their hands? If you can look at the dirt under their nails.
No, I don't know that means washing your hands.
What?
Yeah, because
Sometimes I have makeup, though.
right.
But that's
you don't never
different.
know what kind of.
But I
dirt.
mean, like, dirt is just like sitting up in there.
Just wash your hands and be
Oh,
safe, and use hand
Lord.
sanitizer when you need to,
Yeah.
and keep yourselves.
Take your shoes off at the door.
What?
Because you walk
It travels-
outside.
Corona travels by debris on the bottom of your shoe.
You never know.
Travis, that's not
But
what
then-
they
Can say
said.
though that those masks that you all are buying out
Are not
if you
working.
Do not have coronavirus. It does not matter if you have a mask on
Correct.
because it's not doing anything for you. So
Correct.
you're just wasting your money and taking it away from
The medical professionals
actually
who need it.
Yeah.
And now there's everything it seems to be out of stock across the country because of because of the information that's being put out via the media, and of course people taking whatever precautions that they need to take. The masks are not the way to do it unless you're traveling in a region where it's been found, or you're in an area where they have talked about a new person
Right.
has contracted the disease.
Totally agree.
Like
And
if you're in Hackensack Hospital, because we just found out that there's a person who has it in that is from Fort Lee but is now in quarantine in Hackensack Hospital, you probably should have a mask on.
Right.
But that doesn't mean,
Right.
if you're in an area that doesn't necessarily have it, you should just be walking around, because you are, in terms of stock,
yeah,
you're
most
taking it away from those
definitely.
who actually need it.
In Hackensack?
I just want want to say
Why
something
hackathon?
outside of the coronavirus. I know today we're doing something a little different. We're streaming live.
Yes.
We've got some people tuned in, so I just want to say what's up to those who are watching us
Yo,
live.
yo.
Yes.
Most
To the
def.
livages.
Most
Make sure
definitely.
you share it.
Yes. And tell people about it, and
Most
we'll make sure to
definitely.
post when we'll be
Use those
live again
hashtags.
next week.
And ask
Next
questions,
week.
make comments,
Yeah.
and we'll
Or
get
the
to
week
them.
after. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just pray for those families, the 90,000 people who contracted the coronavirus. Out of those 90,000 people, 54,000 people are, I guess, okay. They're not dead, so they're in remission from it. So we want to pray for those families, those individuals that we will, we're going to make it and get through this. Just like the bird flu, swine flu, everything else, we're going to get through this. So love
And
you all.
AIDS.
Yes, 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 yes,
Because
yes.
wasn't nobody wearing masks when the AIDS out.
Right.
We ain't gonna talk about that.
We're not. What we can talk about just for a 2-minute hot topic is Miss Oprah Winfrey.
That's not
We talking
funny.
election.
We gonna
are.
get there, but I just want to sound off, man. Oprah, it is no way possible you tripped over your own feet, man.
You ain't never been walking down the streets of New
Nope.
York City and just tripped.
Yeah,
And stumbled if you were on
the
the
Spirit of
phone?
God came through swift and like a mighty
No.
rushing wind,
No, because one time late at night I walked actually from the Apollo.
and that's when you busted your chin.
No, my hand. Remember my hand?
Your
had that
hand,
scab? I
right,
had
right,
that
right, right,
scab
right,
on my
right.
hand.
Y'all,
But it
My
was
whole
raining
palm
though. It was
falling.
raining.
pray for us.
It had rained.
Right. Oprah, it was no rain. There was nothing wet on the stage. She
You
just
don't
fell.
know. You wasn't there.
Kobe was.
Yeah, they busted it.
And then they said it was Michael. The Michael. Now I did. I'm not gonna lie. For Kiki, I did look and
I looked at it a few
find
times.
the Michael thing, but I saw the Kobe and it was
You're
it
right.
was interesting.
Well,
It was it was very interesting.
Ashley.
Amen.
election.
Elections 2020.
Oh shucks. Oh, that's a nice
started.
logo. Let's get it started. So election 2020,
Yeah,
we know,
man.
okay, so 2 weeks ago was Las Vegas. And then followed by South Carolina
Right.
in
Yeah.
terms of
Primary.
primaries
Right.
or caucuses, if
Right.
you will. And now we are here. We've just gotten past Super Tuesday.
Doc.
I mean, a stressful
And
day.
there's
Speak of a
two
stressful
elections, two debates after
right
that.
up, yep.
Yeah. We have Phoenix, and then we have the one that's in April.
Day. Right.
Which will be, I'm sure, a result of whatever happens in Phoenix.
Right.
So
And how quickly the field has,
it's
Shrunken.
gotten so small.
especially today. Liz Warren dropped today.
Yes.
Yep.
I honestly, I will speak honestly today. I expected her to drop, no offense, after the Super Tuesday results because her campaign assumed that she would be either second,
Right.
well, not either second, first or second,
Right.
in a bunch of, or at least half of the Super Tuesday states that were voting, and they were highly disappointed. And I think, as far as you said, I think you said something earlier to me about money. I think that her money was kind of, getting
Well,
to where-
because I had
Funny.
read why did there was a lot of
strange.
discussion before Vegas, because people started to drop out then
Right.
Right.
before the debates in Vegas. That the only real reason that people drop out is because financially they are not able to maintain a full,
Right.
I'll say a full schedule within any election cycle, so they have to drop out.
But that was
Right.
smart. It was smart on her part.
Very smart, but it's a little bit shocking for me because I thought, in spite of what happened with Super Tuesday, she would push forward. But again,
I wonder because I don't know if she, like, when you look at the idea of her, and her supporters and the money that comes in, it comes in definitely from, how she performs.
Yes.
And when you look at the last debate, it was like she came in like Donald Trump, just verbally abusing everyone.
no, I disagree. I think in the debates, Elizabeth has been Miss Warren, because we want to be respectful. We all do want to be respectful. She's phenomenal. In the debates, she's no joke. Like, literally to the degree where after one debate, I had to look up, let me look up her history, because this one was literally
Right, but I think she
had-
personally,
the last debate.
she
Yes.
does shine. Don't get me wrong, but she definitely
little
attacked,
assertive, yeah.
very, very, very assertive. Attacking to all the other opponents that were there. And I think they all were in a sense, but I think she was just a little more
But
was a
she's
lot.
like, if that was South Carolina, if you look at Vegas, she was the same way. If you look at the one before that, she's had the same kind of gutspa, if that's the
Right.
word. She's had the same one, like same, I think, stance the entire time. If we're looking at an arcing stance, right? Not
Right.
necessarily looking at the content that she brought to the debate stage, but looking at her disposition throughout the debate series, she's been the only one who's remained consistent. And it's progressively gotten better with being quick to respond and holding her own weight on the debate stage, despite what was being thrown at her. There was not one time that I felt like she was lukewarm in her performance. Now the polls, whatever the polls say, are different, because clearly they didn't call me to poll and ask my perspective.
Well, the people spoke, so.
Right.
I feel like she was trying to be a little aggressive or speak up a little more the second time, because it was the whole thing about who could beat Trump. Nobody understood. Everyone was being called weak. They said the debates were a bore, and it was horrible to get through. It was painful. So I think that she was trying to come off like, oh, I'm a woman and all that. I'd say she was the female candidate that was taken the most seriously out of those that were left.
Yeah.
Agreed. I totally agree.
Tulsi or Amy,
I totally agree.
I will give it to you. Amy Klobuchar held it down for herself, and she made herself. She gave her name. Her and Pete Buttigieg became household names through this election.
Right.
Yeah,
and nobody knew who they were.
No, at all before
like,
then.
At all.
No
so
one
I
was
have
thinking.
to give them some respect, and I feel like they have a future in politics, a big future.
Yeah.
But and I feel like they didn't lose from this election. I feel like they're amongst the winners as well. But I do feel like Liz Warren, she was the one that had the plan. It was like Liz had the plan. Elizabeth Warren, as you said, had the plan. But I don't think that, and this is personal. I loved her plan, her policies. But at the end of the day, I don't think that she would have been the president. I don't think people would have voted her in as president. I think she would have been a great member of the team.
Right.
And I still think she will be a great member of the
I
team.
do too. I think she would be a great member of the team.
I think if they play it smart, whomever wins, all the candidates that were up for presidency,
Yeah.
they all need to stick together.
No, I don't think
whomever
all,
is elected.
But it was shocking that she only got 65 delegates.
It was very, very
Yeah.
It
shocking.
was very shocking.
Yeah.
To me.
Very. And it
she
makes
fell
me
flat down.
wonder why. Like, what happened, which probably prompted the immediate the conversation or the conference call that she had with her staffers before we even heard about it publicly, that she was going to step down. It's like, what? Where did they fail? Which is not only a testament to her, but also to other. Exactly. What?
But I also.
I'm not fit.
Go ahead.
You
That's
cut
why I
me off
stopped.
one more time.
What?
No, he does it literally like I be mid thought, and he like. But I also, really, what I wanted to say is,
Go ahead.
I wanted to,
Continue.
but what I also think that is, what I also wonder about is I don't wonder about the power of the black vote, because clearly, especially in terms of black women, we know that it's been very, 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 very influential and very powerful, and can easily sway an election or certain parts of an election, right? It makes me wonder if that had anything to do with it, or if the lack of visibility in the key states that she like completely lost, if that hadn't,
Yeah. But see, here's the thing.
But why?
Because
I don't know. I want to know why, like,
this
and how.
the Constitution, America was not built for the. We have to get.
Can I say that Trump has not read the Constitution? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we know that. He's the second caveat
I'm
to the
trying to
conversation.
bring back this anti-Trump vigor, because it seems to have like flown away.
Yeah.
I don't know where it happened.
But the Constitution, America was not built for women, black men, black women. It was literally built for rich white men. And so I think the idea is that is who we will see a lot, especially winning our elections and winning our presidencies.
Bernie isn't rich.
No, he's not a billionaire.
He's
He's
not-
a millionaire.
He's still
like,
rich.
let's be clear.
Oh.
If you looked at his
But
taxes,
he still has money.
He is not in the
He's not middle
$50,000
class.
a year
But his campaign
bracket.
is-
No, he's not.
basically
And he has 3
says
homes.
that he's running for the poor and not people that's not
Right,
seen.
but I'm saying, but these are people who have money,
Do you
right?
believe him then? If he's
No.
a millionaire? I'm asking.
He had, first of all,
No.
he's still out there.
How can a millionaire lead the revolutionary for those who are not like him?
Well,
I don't know.
because-
I also, if you talk about the revolution, and then I think you got to look at the idea if someone can lead it, it has to be someone from that
He
own.
said that. I didn't say it. That's
right.
what his people
That's what his
campaign.
I'm just
campaign
saying.
has said.
I'm just saying. If I'm going to leave from my people, I gotta come from my people, right? In order to understand what my people need and what.
Well, no, because realistically, nobody who's won the presidency has come from the struggle.
I agree. I totally
or from
agree.
the ground up.
Even
They've
our
been
favorite
in a
president.
position to actually win. He didn't come from the YMCA.
Right.
He came from a very powerful position.
But that's what I'm saying.
But now they're considered Democratic elite.
But they've always been elite though.
Right, that's true.
They've always, since the test of time when Democrats became Republicans and Republicans became Democrats. That has always been since because they were all rich white men. You know, it just so we lucked up that we had a nice wealthy black man who got into office.
But they're liberal.
Right. So, you know, I don't know if you're going to. I mean, in this day and age right now, you know, in the next 20, 30 years, I don't know if we'll see another president that will come from us.
You don't think we'll see another black?
I don't know.
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
And if I do see another black one, I wonder if that president, whether white or black, would have had those struggles and is able to relate and really do some work for.
I don't know about that, but I want to ask you from what you said. Do you think I want to go into the Bernie Sanders movement because Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, that's where basically this election has come. We all were talking about, not we all, but a lot of people were focused on Bloomberg. And I got some pushback, a lot of flack with activists on the ground because I felt that they were focusing and having press conferences and mobilizing marches and stuff for one candidate, and nobody's hands were clean. And I felt that they were giving a little too much shine to Bloomberg. I know that we saw his commercials like all day, every day, but at the end of the day, I didn't think the man who I was looking at on the commercials, even though Bloomberg, like as a businessman, I do admire him. Like it's hard not to. He has a ridiculous amount of money, and he has a ridiculous amount of power in America.
And his energy is
so
very light.
I was actually confused why he wanted to run for president because he's already powerful. He helps run the world already.
Right.
So I thought that was odd. So I think he was doing it for a reason. I think it was a strategy either to help Biden or if maybe he thought Biden wasn't strong enough, so he was going to run to try to beat Trump. Some people were saying that he was trying to help Trump. We don't know because we don't know exactly what's going on, but we saw that Bloomberg flopped. Yeah. So we can say now that you cannot buy the election because he failed.
Yeah, he failed.
$500 million?
Well, that's a drop in the bucket.
That's a lot of money.
Wait, what do you mean?
That's like million is like $500 for him.
And then to drop out
to us, it's a whole lot of money.
Right.
How many delegates did he get? 58 delegates. $500 million for 58 delegates.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
But then you also got to look at the idea too. Like he started late. And then I don't think he had anyone properly right. But I mean, but see, my thing is, my thing about it is, I would have come into the situation like, okay, well, if I'm going to spend $500 million, Lord, I pray one day that you reign it. No, I know you will one day. So, I know that like if I was coming into the situation, right, and I'm running for president and I have $66.7 billion, it's probably more now. I know that I'm just not going to come in just because of my money. Right. I know my money's going to play a major role in it, but I also know that I got to come in with a good team. I got to have a good strategist. I have to have a good, assistant, people that can push me. I know that I might like his strong area is not is public speaking. Right?
He's never had to.
He's never had to. Right.
All he has had to do in terms of public speaking has been the mayor.
The mayor, correct. But I'm saying like when you have a strong team behind you, they know that and they push to let you know that hey, this is what you need to do.
Which leads me
because had he done what he was supposed to do during those debates, it'd be a different conversation right now.
I don't think he really wanted to win. I think Ashley, what you point out, a very good point. He did it to put fire in the barrel with the Democratic candidates and to shake things up and to lean towards another candidate, right?
Yes.
Because why? Because he can.
Right. I agree.
He's the only person in America who actually could drop that amount and it not.
I totally agree.
Not mean nothing because I guarantee.
And walks away and be like, yeah, oh well.
No, well, you saw that on the debate stage. I was laughing not because of what like his responses, but at how unbothered he came across. Like unbothered at the last two debates with every question. To the degree where one of them, and I'm almost certain it was Vegas, where he was like, I mean, I'm the whole conversation that they're having, I'm baffled. Like, why are we even talking about that?
I totally agree.
Like he was the elite in the group. Which I have to say, on one hand, I was like, that, considering what we have in the White House, I'm for.
I was for it too.
But the second one, the South Carolina debate, he did. I will say he did semi redeem himself from a public
Right.
speaking standpoint.
Let me
At
tell-
least being able to
I'm gonna tell you
communicate what his
why.
policy and stances were on certain things,
Right.
on whatever was brought to the table. Not on everything, because he still came across as unbothered. But
Per the usual.
He's still well, because he's Bloomberg. It's like when you're that, it's like
He was a little unrelatable.
very.
Like I watched the show. I watch Politics Nation, of course, all the time with Rev. But his interview with Rev, and I didn't want to say this because I didn't want other people to get thrown up by my opinion. But at the end of the day, some stuff that he said, even Rev asked him about Trump. Rev was like, "Oh, can you discuss your disdain with Trump?" And he wouldn't even talk about it.
No, he was like,
And I was like, "What?" Like he was almost like, "Don't ask me that question. Move on." And it was like, first of all, I was like, "Who are you talking to?"
right.
First,
you on
I
our
didn't
show.
appreciate his. It was like, I don't know. It was just like, I don't have to do that. Like, let's talk about something else. You can't control the narrative. You're
Right.
running for president.
Right.
So that's, for me, it was like, oh, he's not going to be able to relate to the people. He's
Right.
in
Right.
his bubble. And I can't blame him, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to vote for that.
Right.
No.
And I also think too. I
He would
think
be good
why
in the cabinet
people.
As far as economy.
I don't.
Well, if
I
he
don't.
had won
I
the
don't think he
nomination,
will.
I would have
Yeah,
voted.
yeah, I would have
I
voted for him
I would've
too.
too.
Office.
Oh,
I
I
don't
would've
care.
too.
I don't
But
care
two
if it
things.
was
Two
I
things
would've
is
voted
that.
a lot.
Two things is that the mere fact that I just don't think he's going to work for anyone.
Well, he's not. He
Right.
can see he dropped out.
Right.
So.
But just even so, if they ask him to be in the cabinet, I don't see him doing that. That's just one. Two.
I don't think he was going to support Bernie. He said
No, not at
No,
all.
and he.
Two.
which is why he's
I
so
think
quick to
that also.
support Biden.
In my opinion, I think he was probably the only person that could actually beat Trump, right? Because I'm gonna tell you why. Because I was watching CNN the other day, and a white Republican said, "Man, he says I'm so sad that Bloomberg is out." He said because he said I was gonna vote for him. He said I actually came today to vote for him, and it was a white Republican.
So you think he could have flipped the votes from?
Yes, he could have.
That's what everyone
And
was- a
the
lot of
reality
people were
is
saying.
the reason why I know that he could have done it because he has money.
But you don't
And
think
all
he could help Biden do that?
Yes.
he can, but Biden doesn't have. The reason why they voted for Trump because they felt that Trump was like this amazing businessman, and that Republicans are not about policy. They are not about what we are focused on, trying to change things. They are about money.
I know, but if Bloomberg has now supported Biden, you don't think that he can help flip some seats?
If he gives his endorsement to Biden,
He
I
did
think he
already.
might be able to.
He did already.
Oh, then hey, let's go with it.
He
Yeah.
was supported by
Yeah.
all of them that drops have supported, except Warren. I heard the Warren.
She's
said
on
that
the
she's
fence.
not.
Yeah, she's going to talk about.
Well, I don't know.
she's
She
gonna
might not
support
talk.
Bernie.
But I think that's
You
interesting.
think?
Her and Bernie were
I was about,
friends.
but remember they just got
but
into
they
that whole
also got in
spackle.
that spat
Yeah.
at,
Yeah.
at two
So she's
debates
probably
ago.
tight.
So
So she might go with Biden.
she might not say nothing. She might just be in Massachusetts. Like, let me just pet my
Or
dog
she might
and
move
walk the
out
lake
of
with my
Massachusetts
husband.
because they didn't even she didn't even
not.
win that.
Yeah,
That's
she
true.
didn't win in Massachusetts. She didn't. Well, we haven't seen the state break.
I'd be mad.
But what do y'all think of the whole Biden Bernie? Now, in my research, a lot of people, like I was saying before, a lot of people do the whole mudslinging thing. Oh, I don't like this one because of that. I don't like that. I don't really like the mudslinging thing because there's you can throw mud on all their campaigns. 'Cause
Yeah.
they all have issues
Yeah,
that
for
you
sure.
can talk about or underline. But at the end of the day, as far as their campaigns and the platforms they're running on, would you say, like, is there something in either one of their campaigns that makes them stand out and it's like, I have to vote for them?
No, I think Bernie. I think he presents a lot of great ideas, but he doesn't answer the question of how. The how.
Thank you.
I think.
You hit that.
I think Biden is running off of the strength of he was the
Obama.
VP, and that for people who haven't had the chance to really hear about his platform, or not even hear about his platform, because if you go to his website, it's not there.
No, it's not?
No, they're on issues. There's some things, but like the issue, I'll say the issues that affect the Black community, it's not there. Unless they updated it within the last 2 hours since we've been in
I read a
transit and
political
prepping
article,
here.
that's how I saw it.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. If you go to his website, which is where, if you go to any candidate's website, it's where they usually talk about their stance on criminal justice reform, their stance on education, their stance on housing, their stance on health care, the stance on taxes, right? It's not really answered on his website.
So are you leaning more towards Bernie?
I'm leaning to whoever gets the nomination. I don't care if
So you're
it's
not gonna
Donald
do the
Duck.
primary.
Donald Duck.
You're not going to do the primary.
I'm going to vote.
Okay.
I'm going to vote in
I mean,
every
we all
election.
have to. I think at this
I'm going
point
to
we
vote
all
if they
have
ask
to vote.
which bodega do you think has the best sandwiches. I'll be voting.
Of course.
But I will say when it comes to the end, I'm going to vote anyway because it's not a matter of, for me, it's not a matter of what candidate at this point and who who is for us. I just want Donald Trump out.
I totally agree with
And
you.
as long as we, and even if.
But do you say so? You agree with the candidates that say that they feel only Joe Biden can get him out of office? Because a lot of people are saying.
Well,
that
no,
Bernie
because
can't.
Hillary was a strong candidate too,
Right,
though
and
people
he
weren't
didn't.
ready for Hillary.
Wow.
I think in terms of skill and electability and experience and all of that, she would have been made a great president, but she lost.
Yeah, she did.
Because of this electoral college dummy shit, I'll say. But I think I'm hopeful that I think it's clear in terms of polling and then the delegates that it'll be between Bernie and Biden. But if one of them gets a nomination, I'm gonna campaign and vote for one of them because we can't go through another 4 years of what we've just had.
I agree.
I agree.
We can't.
But I feel like a lot of people, everywhere I go, I feel like everyone is asking or in between. It's like some people, there's frustration. It's like the Bernie supporters, the Bernie bros or whatnot, are saying basically like the revolution can happen if everyone gets behind it and support it. And they feel like people are trying to throw.
Well, he hasn't answered how.
But they're saying that
He's
people
talking
are
about
saying,
free healthcare, free education,
it can't happen. It
erase
can't happen.
student loan debt.
They're saying
Erase it,
it
Lord.
can't happen. It can't happen. But basically, they said it can happen if we all supported it. So they were like all the support of Joe Biden. Yeah, they're just doing it because he's a safe candidate. Just because people are he's remnant of Obama. And
But
that's how he won.
don't we think that Bernie Sanders would be a safe candidate as well too?
But they're trying to say that
I
he's
don't think
completely
either one is
populist.
safe.
They
I
said
don't
he's
think
neo-populist and he's
anyone
completely
is
like
safe because none
radical.
of them, at least personally, has spoke to issues that really affect us. I like the idea of what Bernie's platform is centered around, but I don't understand the how.
Right,
like
I agree.
how are you planning to do X, Y, and Z? What's the how? And Biden,
Well, I have two questions about Mr. Bernie.
child, I don't know. There's nothing on his website about us.
Well, okay.
Will there
So I
ever
can
be?
read
Issues that affect
the
us, and by
platform.
us I mean our community. Yes,
I can read
that.
them,
Yes.
but okay. So, but for Biden, he believes in citizenship for dreamers. He wants to end the death penalty, end cash bail, mandatory minimums. He wants to end private prisons. He wants to end. I don't know how true that is. Build on the ACA, which is the Affordable Care Act, but opposes Medicare for all. Unlike Bernie, who is for Medicare for all. He wants to raise the minimum wage. So does Bernie. Raise corporate taxes, but keep the rates lower. Bernie is completely against. He wants to raise the taxes for all the rich.
But then what is that?
They both say they want to study reparations. Biden said, "I think he would."
He
give
wants to
reparations.
study reparations.
Bernie said he would study, but he
Sir,
won't
how
give
long are
them.
you studying? You're almost 90 years
Bernie
old.
said no.
I mean, your research should be complete at this point.
Biden said scrap
Same
pot
difference.
convictions. So did Bernie say scrap pot convictions? Bernie said marijuana is legal everywhere. Biden says legalization depends on states. Biden is against for-profit charters. Bernie's against complete charter growth.
I'm against charters
It's
too.
Biden says 2 years of college should be free. Bernie says college should be free, period. He would fix debt relief programs. Bernie would raise all college debt, he's saying. And also Biden said he would boost teacher pay, so would Bernie. No unlimited spending, shouldn't be allowed. Support nuclear tech to fight climate change, that's all Biden. Reduce tax carbon emissions and support buyback program and fair and support of universal background checks against guns. My thing with Bernie, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say as far as Bernie, I like his platform, but I have a problem with that he voted against the Brady Bill 5 times.
Right.
I am an anti-gun violence advocate to the extreme, and I don't understand how someone who can say they talk about King's Dream and all that, and you stand on these issues, and one of the biggest things for hurting our community is illegal guns flowing into the community and us killing each other.
correct.
So how can you vote 5 times against the Brady Bill and then you talk about all this stuff, but you're not talking about the issues with guns? So basically, you're enabling the NRA, and that's one of the biggest people
That's
that I
correct.
fight. So I have an issue with that on Bernie's side, and I don't understand that part of the campaign. I don't.
They
I
haven't
don't get
talked
that.
about that.
Yeah, but
And
no
he's
one's
not going
also
to.
they're not ribbing
No
him
one's
on
been-
that.
He's not
Exactly.
going to. He's not
But
going
this
to.
is becomes the other point. So now that the field has dwindled down, now's the time to take issues like that,
Right.
take other issues that affect the black community directly or just communities period, and bring it to the table, because a lot of these debates were really like basically all the crabs in a barrel fighting out to get some fresh air,
Right.
and to
That's
make sure
right.
that they were kept alive and not boiled for dinner.
Right. I
And
agree.
then sweet,
I agree.
literally, and
I
then
agree.
slowly but surely, there were certain ones that started to drop out, and then
Right.
you got the last ones who were able to at least get to the top and get some air that didn't get
Right.
get burned or boiled by the heat.
Right.
And those are the ones that are left standing. So now becomes a time where it's important to bring those issues to the forefront and not sit back and say, well, I'm not voting if my candidate doesn't win. No,
Right.
sweetie. This is a time
There you
to
go.
put pressure on the one who does get the nomination. Because
accountable.
regardless, the bottom line is we don't want Trump in office.
That's right.
Like,
I totally
let's be
agree.
crystal
That's right.
clear.
That's
It's
right.
not just
I
any
totally
candidate.
agree.
We don't want him in office. So what do we need to do to make sure he's not in office?
Gotta vote.
That should be the stance.
Yeah.
The stance, and not to say you can't go support the candidate who is best aligned with your values or who
Vote your
is,
interests,
who is
Yes.
aligned with your interests. But let's be realistic. Like, we don't want Trump in office
No, we don't.
another 4 years. If we could vote him out tomorrow, I'm sure America would be out in ridiculous numbers to make sure that he was out.
Let's hope so.
That hasn't happened. We have to get him voted out in November. And so
And I mean, like, immediately.
well, yeah. So one, everyone needs to be registered, and two,
Right.
everyone needs to get out and vote, regardless of who is in office.
That's
Right.
correct.
Who's in office? Because, hey, we don't want Trump.
But what do you
I
think
kind of
about-
want
oh, sorry.
to. I kind of want to go back to your list in regards to like the pros and cons of both candidates, right? I'm wondering, are they doing? Are they in a place where they are just playing it safe?
Both
Or or are they? Do y'all really think that these candidates really mean what they say? As I guess.
I was going to ask the same thing. I don't know. And that's the problem, because at the end of the day, I want to believe Bernie. He has a record. He has a great record, great resume. So does Biden. Biden's record and his resume is impeccable. But they both have stains as far as racial issues and racial baggage. But I don't know. As far as Bernie, as far as his agenda, right? What has he pushed through on that agenda? He's been in office for a very long time as senator. What's the policies that he's pushing through? As far as I understand that the House and the has not necessarily been for him or whatnot, or the Senate. But what have you pushed past? They just got a lynching bill passed. So what have you pushed through?
Right.
And
that
that's
you support?
just 2020. Like we've been lynching since.
It took years for it to happen, but you've been in office for years.
That's
so
correct.
what have you, as far as your
Done to
policies,
What
done
has
to push
either one of
this
them have done?
revolutionary
Correct.
agenda?
This is
Totally
what I'm
correct.
Biden has
Yeah.
pushed some things through now. We
Yeah.
can't say that.
But even like, so let's stay on this whole lynching bill, right?
Okay.
The idea is we started lynching back right after slavery, if not during slavery, and then it's become more prevalent
Right.
after slavery during the Reconstruction era,
Right.
right? That was 1866, 65. Why is it taking so long for us in 2020 to even pass a lynching bill? Why do we still have to vote
They had
every
to
60
draft
years?
it. They didn't even draft it.
Correct. Right. But
Until
how do we
2019.
It's
but even
crazy.
so, how do we even get to a point where
think
every
Bobby
60
Rush-
years we still have to vote for black people to even or go before Congress to say, all right, we're gonna approve this bill so black people can vote?
They
Like,
just got the right to vote. I was about to say.
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, when do we get to a point where we say, you know what, let's amend the Constitution and put this in for these people
They're
to help
not gonna
them?
do that.
Of course
Talking about
not.
amend the whole Constitution. They not.
Where does that start? Where does that fight start? As far as
The
amending
fight starts
Constitution?
is you scrap the entire Constitution and redo it for all people.
But I don't think Bernie Sanders nor Biden will do that.
They're not going to
That-
do
first
that.
of all,
Definitely
They're not gonna do that.
Nobody on this planet is gonna do that.
No, I don't think so.
Because in terms of the logistics part, because I'm a logistics person, it's more than just rewriting it and submitting it for approval.
Right.
That
Even
to
more
get a
so,
law
but it's
passed-
going. I know that it's going to mess up the entire economic system.
But what do you think about our own people who basically voted for Biden because he reminds them of Obama? Literally, Clyburn came and endorsed him. Biden's campaign was in the dumps. Like, let's keep it a buck. His campaign was losing money. It was over. Everyone had counted that brother out. And as far as his vision, they said he was weak. Everything about him, they said was weak. And then all of a sudden, Clyburn, the big homie, came and gave him an endorsement.
Yeah.
And he
that
took
shifted
South Carolina.
everything.
He
Yep.
took everything for Super
Yep.
Tuesday. Black voters gave that to Biden.
Yeah.
I'm saying that on the record. Black voters gave him that win.
Of course.
For Super Tuesday. So at the end of the day, that's our people. Are we happy with that? Are we okay with that?
I'm not happy with any of the candidates. Let me just say that. I'm not.
So but we trust
I'm not.
Clyburn, right?
I don't trust anyone.
Oh, well.
Right. I don't trust any of them because they ain't sit in the same place as I sat. They ain't been on the trains with us. They don't. They hold on. But the idea is, but I'm just saying, like these are candidates that have not sat in the homes of people. We still have people in the projects. Kids are getting lead poison. Flint, Michigan is still.
Yeah.
with
Without
tempered
clean
water,
water.
even in right across the water in Newark, New Jersey.
They're not even asking
like
those
no one
questions.
has no one is asking those questions, and no one
Right,
is
but
doing
why?
anything
Because
about
no
it.
one, but this is what I'm saying. No one has put the pressure on them to ask those questions. But to your point, like, I think that Biden, I think it was all a strategic move. I think everyone at this point is looking at who can beat Trump. Who realistically, if we put the pressure behind, who will the country look at and come out in nominal numbers and vote for that individual?
All I'm going to say is
so
I'm
that they
nervous
can
about
actually beat Trump,
Right.
and he will not be in office. And then from there, we can actually begin to rework and rebuild and restructure America as it currently stands. I think that's why Clyburn came out. Well, I don't know why, but I think that's the influence that it had on him coming out. Is look, who do we need to rally up behind that can actually beat him? I think people recognize that Bloomberg might have been just a chess move.
Right.
Him jumping in and jumping out because he could afford to.
Right.
But to put fire under people's bums so that either they would step up the ante, or they would at least take a clear stance. That's part of the reason why he jumped in. I don't think he really wanted to be president.
I agree with that about Bloomberg. I do. I'm just trying to make people, like you said, I want people to vote. And I understand Biden nor Bernie are perfect candidates, but one of them have to win in order for us to get Trump out. One of them will
Absolutely.
be, I'm going to speak that into, one of them will be the next president of the United States.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I agree with what Katrina said. I think we said it at a earlier podcast before when we talked about us coming together, minorities coming together as far as an agenda. And whoever's going to be that leader, we need to make sure that whatever our demands are, we have them together and are not scrambling and confused and trying to protest without a list of demands.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter that you're angry if you don't know what you're asking for.
If you never brought to the
if you
table.
don't even know what you're
like
fighting
how you
for.
mad for somebody not speaking about something when the collective has
Doesn't
not brought
understand.
that to the forefront.
Exactly. And we also need to make.
But I think that-
sorry,
but there
Trump
are a
is
few
no longer the
people-
boogeyman. A lot of people are making him like, oh no, he's helped with criminal justice reform.
He's a
Oh no, he's helped with the
non-factor.
economy. Oh
Yeah.
no, I like Trump. It's not that bad. You just don't like Trump. And it's bigger than that. They need to come back out with the facts. Trump is leading a corrupt administration.
Yeah.
Everybody around him was found guilty except him. That was by design. The brother
Yes.
is corrupt and a fraud, and he
Yes.
needs to go. He needs to be out, and it's over. But
And-
they're distracting us with the Democratic primary instead of talking about all of this stuff.
And-
or as
and-
Katrina said, the
and
shit
even-
that
The shit, all the
Trump is
elections,
doing.
all the people that he's put into office.
ridiculous.
Like, let's pay attention to the primaries by all means, and to what's happening in the next couple of debates, and to ultimately who receives the nomination. But
Right.
the reality is, there's so much more happening in this country
I
that
agree.
he's just sliding under
Sliding
the radar.
on in, Doc.
Sliding
But-
under the radar. Which, to your point about him, what about? I'm gonna say it, Bloomberg possibly being planted or whatever it is. It's like that could have been just easily a distraction because now people are looking at him
Right.
and not looking at the other stuff that's happening across the country.
But
At
even
all.
I totally
And
agree to
it's
that.
in November.
And I
Yes.
also agree with the fact that if we look at the idea of now, I don't know if these cats were paid or what, but these young professionals,
from Burn, who's camp?
no, that were speaking
The
and
Trump
supporting
people.
Trump.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wouldn't be
and they're
shocked if they weren't.
millennials.
I wouldn't be shocked
Like
if they weren't
Candace.
paid because that pastor, I don't even remember his name, and thank God I don't because he doesn't need any shine on our
I
platform.
think it is money. I don't
The
say
one
it.
who was going out to the rallies and giving out dollars,
Yes.
giving out money
Yes, I forgot his
to the
name.
people that actually came to support Trump. That was a
That
black
does his hair,
pastor
yeah.
that greases his
Yeah,
shellacks
with
his
that
hair
black stuff.
with a good edge up.
Yeah.
That was actually happening. That happened at more than one campaign stop for Trump. And so I would not be surprised if they were given a check because they'll pay anybody to shuck and drive.
Right.
They can.
If you take the check.
Yeah, but what does that look like?
They
What does
don't
that look?
care. It doesn't matter.
No, I'm not talking about they. I'm just saying for us, like what, like. Are we at a point where we're just easily waived
But
and
we
we
gotta
can
be ready.
compromise?
I don't
and
think it has enough. I don't think it has a weight on the us. I think it's a clear marker because of everything else that has happened with Trump, with his presidency, and then of course his campaign in terms of re-election. I think that it is very evident that it's a ploy so that he can try and get the black vote.
But I agree, but then I don't because some people are not as intelligent
yeah.
or understand the difference. So they're like, oh, well, actually, I saw someone saying that he did this and he did that for them.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, so I don't see the problem. People are confused. They really, really are confused and they don't understand. Even one of my close friends who lives, he lives in public housing and all that, and he lost his job or whatever recently, and was like, "Oh, I just got unemployment check, and it was great. I like Trump." And I was like, "You sound like a straight up clown, like a straight up clown."
Not even
No
that,
offense.
but just
greasy
even our EBT benefits and WIC, like all that stuff is decimating at this point.
It is decimating, and all the things that came from the economy was from Obama.
Yeah, but they're not getting what they would normally get, and
but they're getting.
yeah, most definitely. Right. And don't get me wrong, there are individuals who need it, right? Who just need that assistance and need that help, right? And I think we mishandle it and misuse it because we don't really understand where it comes from, right? So there's this during I'm a history buff. I just love history. So during the Reconstruction era, there was this thing called the Freedmen's Bureau. Freedmen's Bureau was to help supply resources for African Americans to get back on their feet, or to get on their feet rather. And the reality is, giving them public assistance and housing and schooling was part of that. However, I do believe we took advantage of it and we began to rape the system.
People became dependent on
and
it
became extremely dependent on it versus be depending on who they are as an individual.
That's right.
And so I don't know if they felt like that was part of their reparations or they deserved it or what, but then it becomes a generational thing. And the other question is, like, how do we teach our people to really not become dependent on government's sake, but more so dependent on what we can provide for ourselves and what we can do in our own community?
I think education, like you said before, education and information is the way to change people's minds. If people don't know, ignorance is bliss. A lot of people don't understand what's going on. They want to act like they do because of pride, but at the end of the day, they don't understand the political system at all. Like, honestly, essentially, they don't understand what's going on, who is running the platforms. They just know, I can get a job, or I could get a job better this time rather than Obama ever. Oh, my check is a little fatter this administration than last administration, instead of really understanding what is responsible for that. People didn't understand why this 2020 census is important. It's a lot of reasons, like it's a lot of things that just go over your head because people don't read. People are just addicted to Instagram, social media, whatever.
Sure enough.
People make memes. Anybody can create information on Instagram. Like, I can literally go on the app right now, write something, put it out there, get reposts from it, and people consider it facts. That is asinine. Right. People have to do better. In our generation, we have access to the internet. We have access to so much, but we just believe whatever we see because it's quick, it's easy, it's a headline. We don't even read the whole articles anymore. Right. So at the end of the day, the way for us to get better as a people, as black people, and I'm always talking about my own people because that's what I am, and I'm not confused as that as an American. I'm black, and I know what I am and who my people are, and I feel like this system, like you said earlier, the Constitution was not for us, but we are here.
That's
so because we are here, we have to understand what's going on around us. We need to understand the entire political system. We need to understand the economic system. We need to understand the social system, because that's the problem. We're missing it because we don't understand where we at, and we're not trying to. We getting lit. We trying to party. We trying to look fly and wear Gucci and have no interest in none of that stuff. We have no stocks in none of that stuff.
And we keep making people rich. We keep making people rich.
We own nothing.
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Not even our own votes.
No. Because those were easily bought.
It's crazy.
Right.
Like, it's really
those
crazy.
were bought.
Right. Most definitely.
Yeah.
I pray that whomever our 2020, I pray out of the two, whichever one becomes the president, as you said, we're going to speak it, right?
Did Klobuchar?
She dropped.
Yeah. I think whomever it is, I think that at the end of the day, we have to support that individual, put our full efforts behind that. And it can't just be, okay, well, it's Biden, like we did for Hillary. Okay, well, it's just Hillary.
I'm not voting.
I'm right.
Energy.
And the reality is, because you did not vote is the reason why we're in the mess we have been in the last 4 years.
Again, say that again.
And so, not only have we been in a mess, she got the electoral college. And people don't even understand the electoral college versus the popular vote.
Say education information.
And it's and I think because it hurts. It hurts because if people really understood the electoral college and how it works, they would get up their behinds and go vote.
Right.
I agree.
Well, can you explain to them a little bit on that?
So if I can explain it a little different. Each state has its own electoral college vote.
Come on, teacher, professor.
Right.
Okay.
Come on, historian
And
of biblical scholarship.
okay. Okay.
Come on.
And so the idea of the electoral college vote is based off of the vote within that state or the county.
Correct.
And it's also based off of so like say in New York City, there's an electoral college for the city, and then you have the counties basically. And if you win in 3 counties or you get in the electoral college vote from 3 counties. The reality is you might not get the others, and so it goes based off of the amount of votes within that county. People, go vote.
Go vote.
Like it's a serious thing.
It matters.
That's why when you ever go on CNN, they always break it down based off of, in Virginia, you have Fairfax County, and you got Halifax County, and you got Richmond County, and you got Henrico County. These are the people who voted in these different counties, and this who's going to get this vote. That's how they do it.
Right.
That is exactly how they do it.
People,
And you'll be surprised how many Republicans will vote Democrat if they really saw how united we are.
That's right. If they believed us.
If they don't believe us.
They
And
don't believe us.
you know, it's like, man, y'all go ahead. No.
But no, I was gonna say to say to that, those people. There's some people that say, "Oh, your votes don't count. Your votes don't matter." I don't know why people do this, but if it didn't matter, why are they suppressing the vote so hard? Why do they go so hard to take your vote from you or make it difficult for you to vote? And when I say they, that's people in the government, people in charge. If it didn't matter, they would just be like, "Oh yeah, anyone go do it. Do what you got to do. It don't matter anyway." But because they're trying to take it from you, you should understand the value of it.
That's correct. And the idea is, if people would really look at the map and understand, one of the largest votes for the electoral college is in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's teach
Come
the
on.
baby.
And it is Pennsylvania, and the other one is Virginia,
Yes, Virginia is a very essential.
because they're both commonwealths.
Yeah.
And the reality is, we have a large amount of African Americans who are Democrats who did not vote. Hence why Trump won
They
both
sat
those
out.
states.
Yeah. They didn't
Because
like-
last
they
I
weren't
checked,
turned
when
on.
Obama ran his last 2 elections, those states were blue.
Do you think that it would be fair if Obama said something about this election or made an endorsement?
He will probably at the end.
I think he's going to make it based off of, I think he needs to endorse someone now.
So you think it'll be fair?
Yeah.
Okay. I have one more question that we did not discuss. The VP. I think that the VP choice is very essential to who's going to win the nomination for
I agree.
Democrat. Because I think, like we talked about earlier, the difference between the campaigns and whatnot, but I think that VP choice is going to set aside who can really do this. Because they keep talking about,
Exactly.
oh, it's going to be a black female. I think that they put their foot in their mouths with that because now they have to be held to that standard.
I totally agree.
And it's not, I mean, it's an array, but it's just like, who can you choose to make the VP?
Can I say this?
And Michelle Obama is not a choice, and neither is Oprah. So
She
they
don't
need to
want
stop
it.
running
But
around.
they don't want it,
No,
yeah.
she don't want to.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
She don't want to, and neither does
happening.
lady.
I mean, I would have loved for Michelle to, just out of popular
don't want
vote,
to.
but she don't want to.
She don't want to.
Right. But
She like,
if
I'm
I
fine
can
with
be a
where
little
I'm at.
selfish, whomever does not win the Democratic nomination needs to become the VP.
So you don't think Kamala is a good? Everybody keeps saying Kamala.
Kamala,
don't
I think she'd be good for the
I don't
cabinet.
think Bernie would be a VP to Biden. I
Never.
think Biden would be one to Bernie.
No, Biden wouldn't be VP again. No, I don't think he would. But I'm thinking like they need to use the resources of who they've had on the
And they will. I
on.
think most of well, they may not. Well,
Well, I don't even know where Obama got Biden from. Let me just say that. It was like, okay, Biden, Obama, all right, cool.
Yeah,
state he
I
was
agree.
in.
But I didn't no one knew who Biden was.
No
Right.
one knew who Obama was.
Nobody
No one
that
knew who
brother's name.
Obama
You know,
was.
Until
yeah.
the Democratic convention.
That's correct.
right.
I
He
totally
actually gave
agree.
the speech, and everybody was like, "Oh!"
Right.
And all of a sudden, he had his book "Dreams from My Father."
Yeah.
Was back out on the bestsellers list, and he reprinted the speech
Talk
Right.
about
and
it.
resold it.
Right.
Talk about
That's
it.
what happened. But nobody was really looking from a national standpoint.
Checking
Was
for
really
him.
looking at him at all until his.
I totally agree with
It was
you.
like, oh.
I totally agree with you. But I also think that
But he also came in at a time where I think America was at a crossroads. So they were looking, and Democrats especially were looking for who's going to be next.
Right.
Because there's usually, historically, there has been historically a murmuring of sorts, just like they do, they murmur in the Bible when things are getting ready to shift. When a shift is getting ready to happen, there's normally a murmuring for those spiritual folks. But there was a murmuring before Obama was even talked about in terms of who was going to be next.
Right.
Who's going to be the next? Who was going to be in the
Bush.
spotlight?
Yeah.
Who was that? Who going to be that ram in the bush?
Right.
Yeah.
At that time, they were looking for that ram because
Yeah.
they weren't talking about anybody.
Anybody.
Like
Right.
anybody
Well,
across
Clinton, but she didn't do it.
Man.
She just
no, she
wasn't-
couldn't do it.
They kept trying to push it. It just did not work.
No, not until the second time.
Did not work. And she still did not work.
No, but then you got to look at that because as to why. Because America realistically weren't ready, not
For a
just for her
female
to be in the White House, but for a female president. And I feel like that's the same thing with Warren. In addition to the fact that she didn't. I won't even say she didn't really speak to the black vote, because I feel like out of all the candidates, she might have touched on it the most, in terms of touching on issues that affected our communities. But she just happened to come in at a time where they weren't ready to look at her. And when it came down to the electoral college, the delegates, and all that, that she just didn't have a fighting chance.
I say the same for Sanders. I feel like they're not ready for him, or what he's trying to say, the revolution. He's trying to uproot everything and start over. I don't think they're ready for that either. But I just feel like you have to start somewhere. Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden is the choice for me. One of them have to win. And we need to put one of them in office. As far as right? as the president, against Trump. So one of them will be
Santa
elected.
Claus could run. I would vote.
I would have to. But I would have to.
I would have to.
Right.
Look, I may not like everything Santa stands for, but we've got to, the person we have right now, it just has to go.
Yeah.
Right. But the personality politics have to kind of cease right now, because it's not a great array that we're choosing from. Like, we have to get over that fact about who turns you on.
Agreed.
Because that means if people are not turning, they're going to stay home and not vote. And it's not about that.
No.
It's really, really not.
No, it's much bigger than that. And I read a post by someone this morning. They were talking about putting pressure on Biden and the issues that he has not talked about on his platform.
Turn it up.
Right.
I think for anybody, whoever gets the nomination, that's what we as a community have got to put the pressure on. And whether or not you're somebody in small town Texas, or you live in a city like New York and you're connected to an organization who is on the front lines, and wherever you're at, find a way to put pressure, whether it's on your officials locally,
right,
or getting involved with the national organization who is on the front line and fighting for things that matter to our community, that they actually do that. That's what I would encourage people to do. Like, regardless of who gets the nomination, that you got to put pressure on whoever it is, and make sure that they are speaking to the issues that matter to you.
But speaking about the local election, you just hit that too. This is not just presidential elections. There's also local elections on the ballot. So you should be voting down the ballot.
That's correct.
I would say vote down blue the ballot because we're not in a partisan space right now. But at the end of the day, a nonpartisan space right now. But I feel like you should be voting as far as the House and the Senate. All of those seats are up. So if you want to hold somebody accountable, if you want to vote them out for those who did not vote to impeach Trump, you should be holding those people accountable. This is the time to do that. Yeah. This is bigger than just the presidential.
And that stuff happens prior to November. Was it November 8th?
That's November 3rd.
November 3rd,
we need to be pushing this information now, as far as groups like NAN, as far as the social justice organizations,
I
as far
totally
as the
agree.
church, Cambridge Church.
I totally agree.
Putting this information on paper and getting that out there. We need to be getting this information to Damien and making sure all of the podcasts that's airing need to be pushing this information out.
Yeah.
We need to be. That's what we need to be doing is basically saturating, like Bloomberg did, saturating the market with information, so that voters are smarter and can make smarter decisions in the voting.
And please, for God's sakes, don't just sit there and not vote, because otherwise we're going to repeat the 4 years that we thank God for those of us who are still breathing have actually made it through.
And can I just say this to these churches, pastors, stop bringing these people into your pulpits.
For a check.
Just for a check.
No, but if you're going to bring them in for a check.
But hold on, if you're going to bring it in, make sure you do bring in the person that you know that's going to be beneficial to your people.
If you're going to bring someone in, even if it's for a check, make sure all your members is registered, and they bring their aunties and cousins in there and push the voting election.
I totally agree.
The voting election, because everybody's finances look like whatever they look
Let me
like.
ask you this question.
And a child of a pastor who's actually been struggling, whose church has been struggling at one point in terms of making ends meet financially, I can understand, especially looking at the current state of affairs and giving, like where giving is and the past, where the church makes the bulk of its money and where it receives the most of its resources. Some of them need that check to even survive.
Sustain. I
we
totally
have no
agree.
clue why they say yes to that. But I will say, at minimum, regardless of what side of the spectrum that you're on, make sure your people are registered and make sure they are actually voting.
And even more so, I think that there's an initiative that maybe we should take in making sure that we leave voter registration information and possibly the application. I'm going to hold myself responsible, right?
Or DM us.
And making sure that my church has the applications there, and they can give it to me, and I can bring them back to you or to Nan.
But you can also, to even make that even clearer, NYC.gov. Everybody got a smartphone. Use your phone. You can go sign up right on register. You can have somebody in the lobby usher with a phone like
and that's
registration
just in
here.
New York State, but every state
easy.
has a .gov where election, where voting information is available.
Exactly.
And it's a matter of taking it to your local post office, taking it to your local library, because most libraries have voter registration information, or you can download the form online, or you can just DM one of us, and regardless of what state you're in, we will make literally, we will make sure that your church, your organization, your group receives the information that they need in order to get that information to the ground. And we encourage you not only to just stop there, but you take that and make it your business to get as many people involved in this process as possible, because we are in a very serious state of affairs, and every vote, every voice, every energy, every effort counts.
I'm going to do another plug. If you want to hear from the candidates, if you really, really want to know about what's going on, this conversation is amplified at the National Action Network Convention that is happening April 15th to the 18th.
Yes,
at
make
the
sure you are
Sheraton,
there,
New York
register.
You will see all three of us. We're going to be on deck.
Sure
ripping
enough.
and running, but we're trying to have some roundtable talk as well in between. About this election, because all of the candidates are always there. Last year, all of them, everybody that was running was at the election.
Like three.
Like, who
literally tried to come on the second or third day. We were like, nope, that day's over.
But you need to be there. You can register there. Of course,
it's free.
You can get all the information that you need to know. All of the churches will be there. Everyone will be there. So you need to be there to continue this conversation and to understand what's going on. And if we didn't convince you to do this conversation, somebody there will. So I need you to pull up and register at nationalnetwork.net. It's free.
And we will have voter registration information for every state.
Always.
Yes.
Not just New York.
Always.
You'll have the forms for those of you who are local, but regardless of what state you're in, we will have voter registration information available for you, whether it's an actual form or being able to register online, which many states are able to do so now.
That's right.
So just put
I'm
that
with
out
it.
there.
I'm with it.
All right.
I think that was a good conversation.
That was
Yeah,
a very good
I think
conversation.
they said we was gonna make endorsements, but I'm not ready.
No,
Not
we'll
today.
wait. We'll
Not
wait.
today.
We still got two
Listen,
more.
how
we still
about
have
this?
two more debates.
Can we promise the people to maybe make an appeal for who we want after the
I can make
after
it
the
now.
after
I
the
don't
NAN
care.
convention?
Okay.
I will say I don't
I would
care
say
who
that.
wins.
Because
I
DNC
want
is
everybody
in
to get
July.
behind it. It's
Yeah.
in July.
Yeah.
We have two more debates.
Right.
We have Phoenix, and then we have one coming in April. And then we'll more than
So
likely.
I think after the NAN convention, we should give our endorsement.
Okay, that
As a
sounds
whole.
good. So tune in.
enough space.
You can leave your questions here if you want us.
Most
you want
definitely.
if we didn't touch on something that you feel like is important that needs to be discussed, please leave your comments on the video below, or you can DM us on Instagram at RoundTable NY.
Yes.
Or you can DM one of us individually and let us know, hey, y'all started to talk about this, but you didn't flesh it out, and we'll make sure to cover it the
most
next
definitely.
time. But that concludes this week of the Roundtable NYC.
Yes.
We are your hosts. It's not just an I. We are your hosts, Katrina J.
Reverend Trav.
And Madam Ash.
And tune in next week.
Peace.
More than likely will do. Peace out.
Peace.